Show.
Oh, do you like John Steinbeck? I've seen him in 5 places since I've been in your flat.
I am a fan of John Steinbeck. Yeah. I was just in Salinas and I went to the John Steinbeck Museum and I picked up a couple of coffee cups.
Really? Of Mice and Men?
Is that...
It's my favourite.
Yeah.
Of Mice and Men, yeah.
Let's tell him about the rabbits.
Yeah.
We're not going to... Don't tell him what happened up in Weed. Remember that?
Yeah, I know.
That's... Weed, California is up near Redding.
Redding, yeah.
And I always... Like if you drive on the highway and you see signs like... Next exit, Weed.
Yeah.
I always thought it's funny that
yeah.
something really bad happened up there that they weren't
I think so.
allowed to talk about.
They didn't. So.
Shazia Mirza, ladies and gentlemen, is in the Rhodes Library.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen.
I hear you have 2 listeners, is this correct?
I have 16 total.
Really?
Yeah.
God, nearly a sellout there.
So, is that the only John Steinbeck that you've read?
No. I've also drank from John Steinbeck mug.
Yeah.
Which I'm drinking from now.
I have a number of writers that I'm into.
I am very impressed by the size of your library. Because look, it's massive.
Yeah.
This is not a euphemism, everybody. This is really a massive library of books.
But you're a woman of letters. You write. You're known as a... How many books have you written?
I'm on my 2nd now. But 2 of them will be published soon, yeah. So 2. But I've had a column in The Guardian for many years.
You don't have that anymore?
Well, I write pieces for them, you know, like longer pieces, like 2,000-3,000 word essays. I just wrote one recently about the culture of hatred and why it's important for us to mask our hatred in order to progress. It's just don't deny it because it's a human emotion, but the world that we live in, everybody hates each other, and we should keep that hatred to ourselves if we want progress to happen. So it was about that, and I wrote that about a month ago. And then before that, I wrote a long piece for the FT, for the Financial Times, which is about why I think young girls are going to join ISIS. So I write longer pieces now.
Oh, good. Well, I mean, there's just so much to talk about that because I remember when we met was right after September 11th.
Yeah.
And, you kind of were this cultural juggernaut.
Yeah.
Because, and I loved your stand-up. You're very, totally deadpan. And the joke I always loved is, my name is Shazia Mirza.
Yes.
At least that's what it says on my pilot's license.
Yeah.
And you did it with this such a serious face,
Yeah.
And the fear that the Islamophobia people had at the time, I mean, and still.
It's a different kind now.
But you and I were doing these gigs around Holland.
Yeah.
And you had a reporter from The Guardian going along with you. Do you remember?
I remember.
And I was kind of jealous.
And you were huge then, Tom. You were really fucking famous. Do you know? And it was proper fame. You remember, there was a time when comedians, they started out, they grafted, they worked really hard, they became good, and then they became famous. And that fame was so pure and so real. And I remember gigging in Holland, going on tour there for months and months. And I was with this American comedian, and he said, "You've got to come and see my friend Tom Rhodes. He's got his own TV show here." And we used to go and sit in the audience of your TV show, and I met your mum.
You were in the audience of the TV taping. I remember that.
And you gave me a mug from your show. You gave me a mug from the Tom Rhodes show in Holland, and it was proper fame. I know Holland is a small place, but people knew you as a comedian, not as a celebrity. It was as a comedian and a chat show host. And I just think that's so sad in a way that doesn't happen in that way anymore. Comedians do comedy for a year or 2 and then they become world famous. And it's not for the comedy, it's for the celebrity, or because they're young or good looking or notorious or they've said something controversial. It's not because they grafted and learnt the craft. And that was a different time. And I have very fond memories of that. It was so good.
That was great. I mean, but it's funny that, I had that show. It was one of the most magical experiences of my life to be on television in Holland. And Dutch people are very stoic people. They're not easy to get to know.
Yeah, or laugh.
Or laugh.
Yeah.
And then that show was like having a magic passport to the Netherlands. Wherever I went, people felt like they were my friend and would say hi to me.
I would say, Tom, it was a magic passport to women also, because I had never seen so many women hanging around. your show on a Friday. I can't remember what night it was. I think it was a Friday night, actually. We used to go and see it. But there was like women everywhere, like Dutch women as well. Like, you know, so these women in Holland are like from Suriname and they were from different places and different cultures. And Holland is a small place. And I think every woman in Holland was just hanging out at the Tom Rhodes show, tape recording. It was proper groupie fame.
I enjoyed myself there.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did.
No, but I had some wonderful relationships with women. It wasn't all. Anyway, I enjoyed my time there.
I'm sure you did. Yeah, you know what? I'm sure you made use of your fame, as did the Rolling Stones and
I
people like that.
I helped homeless people be fed.
Yeah,
and
I think that's one of the byproducts of being truly famous.
Is to what?
Is that you have those hot women hanging around. Just they weren't interested in the comedy, Tom.
Well, I mean, we've all seen it. Some very hideous-looking comedians,
mainly male,
with very attractive
women.
girlfriends.
Yeah, because apparently, you know, they make them laugh, and women like that.
Well, I think women also look for inner beauty, where men,
outer beauty. Don't you think? Yeah. That's a well-known fact, isn't it? That's what happens.
Ugly guys have been riding off that for years.
Men are shallow, aren't they? Men are shallow.
But it's funny that I was mildly jealous of you because you had your own Guardian reporter.
Well, actually,
it was traveling around with you to write this story.
It was an observer,
and I was on top of the world. I had my own TV show.
Yeah, but it was proper fame, that.
And we hit it off. We became friends instantly. Yeah. I really enjoyed touring with you because we were so different.
And at the time, it was that we were working at the craft. That's what it was about. It really was about the comedy. Like, there wasn't that celebrity. We didn't have kind of shows like the Kardashians and things like that then. It wasn't about reality TV. It wasn't about celebrity. It was really about the craft and grafting. I mean, I remember going to Rotterdam and all these places and dying on my ass at these clubs. But if I had to do that to be a comedian. You can't not die or suffer or struggle and be a great comic.
That's so. Some young comedian, some guy, he's 2 years in, came up to me after the Ice House at the Ice House last night. And he said, I'm a fan. I like what you've done in your career. You know, what could you tell me, you know, at the 2-year thing? And I said, you know, there's no shortcuts. And it's humiliation and failure over and over.
If you want to be good.
The first 10 years. And everybody starts the same way. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You're gonna be humiliated. You're gonna eat so many bags of shit that you're gonna get angry and start writing some good jokes
But it depends how much you love it, how much you love the craft, and if you have anything you think you have to say. You know, a lot of people, they don't have anything to say.
Yeah.
They just want to do a joke about anything and make people laugh, and that can't sustain a 25-year career.
No.
You have to have something more than that, I think. You have to be able to have a perspective on the world, and for that you need to be intelligent and observant and have travelled and well-read, and life experience, you know?
I agree. I think experience is the best thing for a comedian.
But even though we're not that old, there are a generation of comedians who are just maybe 10 years younger than us who have none of that because they're always on Instagram or Facebook, and that is their experience. And they don't have much to talk about.
Well, you used, and it's interesting because you didn't wear, when we first met, when you were touring, and I loved your style.
Yeah.
And It wasn't a hijab. It was almost like this kind of like
I never
tight
wore-
little skull cap thing.
I never wore the hijab in real life.
What was that you wore?
I was trying to do a character.
And there was like a little flap in the back.
Yeah.
It was almost like something you'd see.
It was like my own makeshift hijab.
Okay.
I mean,
Because it was something I've only seen like black men in America wear. This kind of like.
I was trying to do a character, but I didn't want to wear the hijab or the jilbab or the niqab or the burqa because that would just be frightening to people at that time, after 9/11 and,
Well, I thought the thing you wore made you look even more frightening than.
I took it off after about 6 months. About a year. I took it off. Yeah. I wanted to be just a comic. I didn't want to be the Muslim woman in the hijab or, representing all Muslims. Because you know what? They didn't want me representing them. I got to tell you. They were like, shut the fuck up, will you? We don't want you to represent us. Things are going really badly already. And I just thought, I want to be a comedian. I just want to do comedy. I can talk about my life growing up as a Muslim woman, but I don't have to spell it out to people and dress up as one.
Were you born in Pakistan?
No, I was born in Birmingham.
Oh, okay.
So almost the same as Pakistan.
Yeah, that's where I got that small Quran.
They've got 3 white people in Birmingham. Yeah. Everybody else is brown.
Well, I said it on stage in Birmingham that I really like brown women, and that's one of your greatest natural resources here in Birmingham.
Did they find that funny?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. That's good.
It's abundant.
But what's really interesting about you, Tom, is you don't like any old brown woman. It's really specific. This is a really niche market that you've tried to get into, right?
To get into?
Yeah, we've tried to keep you out. I mean, we're not, Tom is really into like Muslim women. And we don't let anybody into we just don't let anybody into our gang.
I know.
And you have never converted to Islam.
No, I have not.
Fuck me, this is really
my mother
horrific.
Would cry.
Really?
Yeah. Oh my God, I got to tell you, I was telling you before we started recording about, I've done this on stage a couple of times, but my mother, she doesn't like Muslim people. She has this kind of prejudice,
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
And our trip to Jerusalem didn't help that because most of the taxi drivers are Palestinian, and especially on the Sabbath on Saturday, they're all Palestinian, and they refuse to run the meter. They want to get like $30-$40 instead of a trip that would cost $5 or $10 on the meter. And it drove my mother crazy. So now when we watch the news and bad things happen to Palestinians, my mother's like, serves them right for not running the meter. They should have been a good person and run the meter.
She just doesn't like Muslims. Wow.
Well, I mean, that's not fair to say.
But how does she feel about you liking Muslim women?
I'm here to expand her horizons.
Yeah, I mean, how weird. She's Christian. She's Pentecostal.
Yes.
And her son is into Muslim women. I mean, you are rebelling against something. I feel that you're rebelling against something.
Well, what about you? You're from the land of Whitey? You're from the honky motherland.
I'm from Birmingham.
Yeah, okay.
So, and I'm from England, I mean, there's a lot of Muslims in England.
How come you don't have that
Birmingham accent?
Yeah.
Thank you. The thing is, I had to get rid of it to get on in my life.
Did you have it when you were younger?
Oh my God, it was horrific.
Let me hear it.
On women, the Birmingham accent is awful. On Muslim women, you're never going to get married. You're never going to have any marriage offers if you're a Muslim woman in a hijab, growing up in Birmingham, talking like this. Talking like this, it's not going to work, is it? It's not good. It's a horrible accent, don't you think? It's a contraceptive. No man wants to go near a woman with a Birmingham accent. You know what? I can still get it back though. If I go home and spend the weekend with my mum, with my family, it comes back.
When I go to Florida, I get a little more twangy and southern sounding when I go.
And if I go back and eat a lot of curry, it comes back.
Did you start stand up in Birmingham?
Did I what?
Birmingham?
But that's not how you say it.
How do you say it?
Every time I say I'm from Birmingham, somebody goes, Birmingham. It's Birmingham.
Birmingham.
It's like Alabama.
Yeah, well, it's a lot different. I like your Birmingham better than our Birmingham.
In some ways, it's still a lot more backward.
So, let's.
I did your first ever podcast, Tom.
You were one of the first. You were. I think you're either episode 2, 3.
How many years ago is this?
That was 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Yeah, I just started. I had my first piece of equipment. I think I had one microphone, so I think I would ask a question and then hand you the microphone.
And it was before podcasts became big, yeah. And now they're just huge.
I started in 2009, and then the guy who gave me the equipment and said, who was my tech guy and got me started, he had to go to jail for something, and then I had to get a new person who took everything down and relaunched it. So it looks like I started in 2010, but I started in 2009.
And nobody was doing podcasts then?
Not many people.
So you're a pioneer, really, Tom?
Well, I was, yeah. They were very sporadic in the beginning, but...
But now they're more regular.
Everybody's got a podcast.
But you have to have something interesting to say, I think, for people to listen.
I agree.
Yeah, I think you're...
So tell me about your first book. What was your first book? Because I loved it, you were a cultural juggernaut when we met. This Guardian reporters following you, writes this big, expose on you, which was great.
I know, going around Holland, and she took me to like the museum, Van Gogh Museum, and I was just thinking, why are you following me around? What have you got to write about? I've just started comedy like a year. I've got nothing to say. And it was just because I was Muslim. It was just because it was a time in the world where people didn't know much about Muslims. And there was me. I was quite prominent doing stand-up.
But you were kind of standing defiantly in that fear and racial prejudice. Or not racial prejudice, like Islamophobia.
I was going against the grain of what I'm meant to do. There's what Muslim women, how they're meant to be and what they're meant to present themselves as. I was the opposite of all of that. I was a stand-up comedian. We're meant to be doctors and lawyers and respectable women. And I am a respectable woman, but I'm a comedian, so it cancels it all out. I've cancelled myself out. I have been cancelled by myself. That's why there's not that many Muslim women that do stand-up. Really, in the world, there's maybe about 5 or 6.
I don't know about that. I've met at least 5 or 6. Sundos in Amsterdam. She's great.
Yeah, I've known her for a while.
She's awesome. She's very big, and then I've met a few in the United States.
I know a few that start. They do it for a while and then they stop because they have to get married, or their family just don't think this is acceptable. The women that do it seriously for a long time, there's very few of those. Because if you want to marry a Muslim man, no matter how educated he is, he won't want a wife that's a stand-up comedian. He just won't. I've met these guys.
But isn't that what happens in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel too? The guy's he doesn't want her to be a stand-up.
They like humorous women. Women with a personality. Stand-up comedian funny? That's just too much. It's too much. Funny Muslim is too far. It's one step too far.
So tell me about writing for The Guardian. The piece on hate sounded great.
Yeah.
I've read a few because The Guardian's my jam.
Is it? Do you like that?
I love it.
You're a liberal.
Yeah, and then I've heard people in England put it down. I won't say any names, but some people I actually respected their opinion, and they said it's garbage. It's all feminist. What was the sentence I heard? Oh, if you want to find out a woman's perspective on everything, and I thought that was like a slamming indictment.
God.
I thought
was it a man that said that?
A man said that in England, and
it's a liberal paper. It's a liberal left-wing paper.
Very liberal, very left-wing, but I wouldn't call it like the feminist.
But there's a backlash now towards feminism and kind of veganism and equal rights and equal opportunities and Black Lives Matter. There's a backlash against all of this. Trump is the backlash to all of this.
Yeah.
That's everything Obama stood for, and Trump is the backlash to this. It's like, oh, we've gone too far the other way. We need to stop this. Women this, women that.
Well, I think it's interesting, like, when Obama became president in 2008, the Republican Party did some, introspective study about, and somebody had proposed that it was time that the Republican Party went ethnic or tried to bring in ethnic people. So I thought, oh, wow, if this is going to change the Republican Party, they're going to try and seek out more people of color or diversity anyway to come into the party. The evil genius that Trump did was he said, fuck that, let's go full on hard white. And
or they get one token like Kanye West, who's black but he thinks he's white and he's forgotten he's black, and he's a Trump supporter.
He's never voted.
And he doesn't.
I saw him on the David Letterman Netflix interview. He said he's never voted in his life.
That's the same as people saying don't vote. That we had people in England saying don't vote. I've never voted. It's never done anything for me. I mean, Kanye West not voting and being a Trump supporter, not realising that Trump hates everything, from elephants to black people. He hates everything. Why are you voting? He's never going to be on your side. You're a minority. It's sad.
It's very sad.
But there are people like that. But there's a backlash towards feminism and stuff like that. People think this feminism and this woman stuff has gone too far now. I've heard people say it.
Yeah.
But maybe it needs to go too far in order to bring it back and we all be equal. I tell you what, though, white men are fucked now, aren't they? It's over for white men.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh my God.
I keep hearing that over and over in this business.
Fucked. It's over. No one cares what you have to say.
Yeah.
No one cares about your opinion. You can't get on the BBC. When was the last time you saw a white man on the BBC? It was 1954. I mean, where are they? I miss them. Doesn't feel normal. White men. It's over really for them.
You think it's just so...
There's a backlash against white men for sure.
No, there has been for several years now. Since Trump was elected, it's everybody wants diversity.
But like white men in power.
So I was doing a joke. I guess I should bring it back. My manager keeps telling me it's not a good time to be a white guy. That film and television people...
Straight white guy.
That film and television people are looking for diversity now. And I keep telling my manager he's looking at it wrong. Because in all these future stories of diversity, they're going to need a white guy to kill.
That's right.
I want to be that white guy.
You want to be the white guy.
So I've been practicing getting killed.
Oh, yeah.
As a white guy getting
now
choked.
You know how we feel. We've had this for years and years and years.
Well, it's great. I mean, I've been... Look all these...
the thing is, Tom,
look at all my books.
You can protect...
I got
William
James
Blake,
Baldwin
William
and
Nietzsche.
Black Rage. I got Malcolm X. So, I mean, all my lifelong studies have prepared me for this.
You can still get an angle in somehow. I mean, do you have a disability of any kind?
Compassion.
If you have a disability...
Compassion.
Special needs. You're special needs, haven't you? You've got some Asperger's. Asperger's, is that right?
Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah. I mean, if you're a straight white guy, you're fucked.
Okay. Yeah, I'm well aware of that.
If you're gay, at least you've got a bit of an angle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you've got some disability, you've got a bit of an angle. But the bland straight white man, it's about time that they were removed from society, I feel. Because for a long time it's been the bland leading the bland. It's just bland white man. So boring.
Listen, Shazia, that might work in a Guardian
I see.
piece.
Now I know why.
That's the Guardian opinion.
Now I know why you go for Muslim women, because they are your way in. They are your way in to anything.
So
now.
I'll still get invited to the party.
You're in.
So what do you think? The piece you wrote about hate sounds very fascinating.
It's based on, I did The Island, Celebrity Island with Bear Grylls.
What you did, like a reality show?
It's a survival. It's more survival. And I was on the island. Bear Grylls had dropped us off, 10 of us, 5 men and 5 women, off an island in Panama. With no clothes, no shoes, apart from the clothes we were wearing. No clothes, no shoes, no mobile phone, no bra, no mayonnaise. It was a disaster. And he left us there for a month. And we had to survive.
Who filmed it?
The camera people, but they were doing what we were doing. So they were part of it.
They couldn't share their energy bars with you?
No.
No?
They had no food like us. and they were holding heavy cameras.
How much did this pay?
Yeah, right. Why do you think I did it? That and getting away from my mother, two things. But it was a really great experience about survival. And I saw it as a metaphor for life, for the world, because it's about survival, about the differences between men and women, why the women survived better than the men. In the end, 4 women survived and only 2 men. Why, we were all of different ethnicities and backgrounds, and what we needed to do in order to survive. And one thing I learned is, a couple of things I learned is that you're on this island with these 10 people that you don't know, you're starving to death. And, there were people that I didn't like, and there were people that didn't like me. But we kept that hatred to ourselves in order to survive, because we knew we were stranded on this desert island, and that if we started arguing and fighting, it would make our lives very difficult for the next 28 days, or for the month that we were there. So we kept our hatred to ourselves, and in the end, the people I disliked, they survived, and the people that disliked me, they survived. And when we came off the island, we forgot why we didn't like each other, because we realised it was the circumstances that we were under which made us behave in that way and have that hatred towards each other. But once those circumstances had gone, we were able to like each other. We liked each other and we got on. And that really was a metaphor for kind of Brexit and the world. All these people hate each other. And it's the situation that we're in. We can all get on, it's fine. And then the other thing that I learned is that
everybody hates each other here. Everything's, how you voted. And so England is torn apart.
Yeah, because of Brexit.
I think it's interesting that, they voted for Brexit, and then there's, people couldn't stop talking about it, so they finally have another referendum to vote on it, and then everybody voted for it again.
Well, it wasn't a second referendum.
That was a shock.
It was a kind of, it
was the thumbs up.
The Tories got in again, yeah. It's democracy. Some people win, some people lose. If you lose, you have to accept.
Well, the problem with democracy is that everybody can vote. I'm kidding.
Yeah, right. That's the problem.
Well, and that not enough, a lot of people don't vote.
I don't know why people don't vote.
I like in Australia that it's mandatory. You get like a fine if you don't vote.
I think that's
I think
great.
it should be like that everywhere.
I think that's great. I think, you know what, even if you think you're not going to win, it's the point of exercising your right to do that that is important. And the other thing I learnt is that you can survive on your own for a very long time, but in the end, you always need other people. In the end, you need other people.
And this was from your survival island experience?
Yeah, I did a lot of fishing. I did a lot of the fishing. I never caught a fish in my life, but I caught a lot of fish, and we all survived. We ate the fish. But what I realised is you can do things by yourself for a very long time, but in the end, I think you really need other people to survive. It's like, you can be on your own all your life and live happily on your own, but I think in the end, if you're sick and you're dying, you want somebody there with you. Even if there's nothing that person can do to help you, you just want someone there. And I think in the end, you do need other people just for human interaction and bonding and someone to talk to and someone to support you. That's what I learnt on the island.
So before that experience, you were a loner?
On the island, I always thought, before the island, I thought I could do everything by myself. Because, as comedians, we do a lot of stuff by ourselves.
It's a matador's existence.
Yeah, that's a matador's existence. What do you mean by that?
You're by yourself. You're facing the audience. It's just one person. It's you. You're naked. You have your thoughts.
Yeah.
That's it. You got your confidence. It takes a long time to get your confidence. All these different skills, like in a video game, it takes years and years to get, the ball of fire and the dragon punch and different techniques that you build up.
Yeah. And you travel by yourself. You're on the road by yourself, sometimes for months. And you get used to that. And it's fine, But I think, and you can do that for a long time, and you can do it easily. And we have done it, as comedians. But I think in the end, you do need other people, to survive in your life.
What other revelations have you had since the last time we saw you?
Well, I'm God. I realize that I'm God. I realize that I am.
It's about time.
That I am God. I am. You know what? You lie awake at night and you think about your life. Your life passes by because you're in the jungle and you're sleeping outside and it gets dark really quick and you can't do anything. And your life flashes before you.
Oh, this is that island experience.
Oh my God, yeah. You think about things. You think about all the people in your life you're going to get rid of when you get out. You think, fuck, sometimes you spend a lot of time with people that you don't actually like. This is a waste of life.
Yeah, it is.
But I understand why people do it, because they don't want to be alone. Or they think something is better than nothing.
Well, I always say you can only judge people by two ways, and it's friends or family. There's people who give you energy, and then there's people who drain you of energy. And that's really the only way you can judge anybody. There's some friends you have, you don't see them for years, and then you just, you're filled up when you talk to them and you see them. And then there's other people.
Why are they these people that drain you of your energy? Why do they do that?
A certain people we talked about who the person who will be remain nameless, who's just always negative and complaining and there's some people just have
negativity,
magnetic souls that suck all the goodness out of life.
That's a shame. That's such a shame.
They're not joy makers like you and I, Shazia.
Yeah, but the thing is, a lot of comedians are not joy makers off stage.
True.
They're not, are they?
No, a lot of miserable bastards. Does your name mean anything?
Shazia Mirza. Shazia does. It does mean something. It means something very amazing as well. I think it means I think it might mean rebel.
What do you mean might mean? You don't know how you've made it this far in life and you don't know what it means?
I think it means that I'm God. That's what it means.
Because there was a television presenter in Holland, I told you when we met, and her name was Shazia.
Yeah, it was not the first time, because it's not a common name. It's a Persian name. That's where it originates from.
It means rebel.
Shazia, it means aromatic.
You smell good.
That's what it means. That's what it means. Shazia is a Muslim girl's name which originates from the Arabic language, Persian. It's according to numerology predictors. Shazia name meaning exotic, rare. That's what it means. In English, it means rare, and in Arabic, it means aromatic, rare. It means Shazia is rare, extraordinary, strange, wonderful, aromatic. I'm all of those things. I am rare. I'm extraordinary, strange.
Extraordinary.
Yeah.
What was your first book about?
So it was hasn't been published yet, but it was about my life before stand-up. So it's about growing up in a Muslim family. It's about the things I was expected to do and expected to be, how I got out of that, how I became a comedian. And it's about the repression of the culture and the religion. It's about a lot of the few times my parents wanted me to marry a Muslim man and going on dates with them and what they expected of me and why I didn't conform. Growing up in a Muslim family but going to a Roman Catholic school. Because I was so naughty, my parents sent me to a Roman Catholic school where I would just get, beaten.
Exposed you to the guilt and the blood.
Submissive. That's what we have to be, submissive.
Islam means submission, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Submission to God.
Yeah.
But women particularly without saying it, we have to be submissive.
Have you ever been in love with a non-Muslim person? Or are you presently?
Am I what?
Have you ever been in love with a non-Muslim person?
Yeah, but I could never marry them.
You couldn't? Really?
Yeah.
You couldn't say, Mom, this person... Checks all my boxes. Loves every booger in my head.
But he's an atheist. Oh, so sorry. Can't be done. It's like in Islam it says that a Muslim woman can only marry a Muslim man. So if he's not, he'd have to convert. Whereas a Muslim man can marry a Muslim woman, a Christian woman, or a Jewish woman, because they are people of the book. So it is one, men have different criteria.
They got a better ride, it sounds like.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Huh.
But it's because the woman carries the religion in the family. And so if you have children, they would have to be brought up Muslim,
So was stand-up comedy a thing around you? I mean, how did you break out of this strict Birmingham?
Well, I did stand-up comedy when I started. I did it in secret. Nobody knew. My parents didn't know. And none of my friends knew. And I didn't tell anybody until the night before I was going to be on Have I Got News For You. And then I told my parents. And they were in denial about it. And they've never watched me perform. And they just pretend it's not happening. It's a bit like being gay, I think. Being in the closet. I go home, they talk about everything. They talk about the Kardashians. They talk about Trump. But they never talk about me doing stand-up.
Even now?
No.
Wow.
It's not talked about.
No kidding.
No.
You haven't bought him a car or a new refrigerator or something?
Oh, yeah.
With this stand-up money?
Yeah. But they don't talk about the stand-up.
Wow.
Because then it means they've endorsed something that they never approved of. Yeah.
Why do you think, I don't want to, but it's all the other religions you can make jokes about. Christianity, you hear jokes about every aspect of
Dave Allen,
Jesus or the characters in the Bible.
God, George Carlin slaughtered it. Mm-hmm. But Christianity, Judaism. There's been a history of Jewish comedians.
Why are Muslim people less humorless?
Well,
or less humorous?
The Jews have had a history of great Jewish comics.
Yeah.
You've had Seinfeld, Joan Rivers, all these people.
Woody Allen.
Oh my God, so many greats.
Lenny Bruce.
Oh God, and loads of Catholic comedians and Christian comedians as well. Dave Allen, the Irish comedian.
I used to love Dave Allen.
Oh gosh,
Dave Allen was on TV here in America. I used to love him.
He's storytelling.
With his cocktail and a cigarette and the storytelling.
And there's been a history of Catholics taking the piss out of religion. Every Irish comedian has got a routine about religion or said something about being Irish and
when
Catholic.
Tommy Tiernan won the Perrier at Edinburgh, there was a huge backlash in Ireland because he had talked about
religion.
Yeah, the Virgin Mary or something.
Yeah.
Last time I saw him, I said, wouldn't that be funny? Now, Ireland has rejected Catholicism because of all the
gay marriage,
child rape.
abortion.
And isn't that funny? That was such a big deal 20 years ago. And now it wouldn't even be a blip.
And Father Ted. There's been all these sitcoms and comedians that Ireland is the basis of religion. They talk about nothing else. But the thing is, they have a history of Irish comedians, a history of Jewish comedians. We have never had a history of Muslim comedians.
So you'd never see a Father Ted type sitcom about a mosque.
And so not only is it a new religion, it's also new to comedy and satire. So me being the first Muslim comic in Britain doing these jokes was a new thing. There had not been anyone before me. So everything I did was slanderous because it had never been done before. It was like, killer, killer. Because I was the first. But there needs to be some time for this to progress in order for us to be able to satirize it. There needs to be some time that passes.
You don't think enough time has passed?
No. It's a new religion, Islam. It's a new religion. And people don't know much about it. And it's very serious at the moment. In order to laugh at things, I think, there has to be some time that passes. You don't do a joke about somebody that died the day after.
Yeah, but I mean, laughter and humor. I mean, I think that's one of the greatest things about being a human being.
But there are things in the Quran which say you're not meant to.
So is sex and dancing, and that's not really.
I mean, in the Quran, you're not meant to laugh excessively. I mean, it says that. There are things that...
Cover your mouth, whore.
Cover,
Why
not just your
laughing?
mouth, everything. Everything needs to be covered. Well, we have to be a certain way. That's how we are. That's our culture. It's more culture than religion, how the women are. I don't know if you know that, Tom. What is your experience of Muslim women? They are submissive. Naturally, by culture.
Yeah.
By the way that we are in our culture.
Well, the woman that I dated in Holland that you had met, she was very much a European woman. But she was a different person away from her family. Yeah. In front of her family, she had to be
a certain way.
Yeah. And I thought, wow, that is like probably a very common story in Holland and in Europe where
you live a
Muslim woman has to live a double life.
Yeah, it's true.
Like she wants to, and she's educated at a university and got all these friends of every flavor.
Yeah.
And exposed to all the culture of Europe, but they can't be fully themselves in front of their family.
Yeah.
That's a pity. What's your second book about?
My second book is going to be based on the island with Bear Grylls and about survival and how that's a metaphor for the world and life and how we can survive in the world based on the things I learnt on the island, from starving to death for a month on a desert island. It's a once in a lifetime experience, that is.
I like the metaphor that, to survive, everybody has to work together and put aside their hatreds.
Yeah. I mean, you can't deny hatred and jealousy. Those are natural human emotions.
Human nature never changes.
No.
From the Romans to biblical times, everyone acts on love, jealousy, anger, but also kindness and compassion and things like that.
Yeah, and those are natural human emotions that can't be denied or hidden in normal life. But in order to hide them, you've got to work at it a bit. You've got to be aware and think, you know what? Sometimes you've just got to keep your mouth shut. Women are good at that, keeping their mouth shut and keeping the peace. Women, that's why when we survived on the island, we knew when to keep our mouth shut. Men have this gung-ho approach where they just don't shut up. They don't think, they don't make a plan, they just go out there and just do everything, whatever, without thinking. It's always a disaster. Look at the world.
So you didn't have like a change of underwear and soap?
No.
For a month you were very...
no toothbrush.
You were not aromatic for a month.
But we were on a desert island where we had salt water, the sea, which is a natural antiseptic. So I was in the sea a lot.
Okay.
I was swimming a lot. I'm a good swimmer. Yeah. There's people survived for centuries this way.
What is your next project going to be?
Well...
And you got to rush that book out while the viewers are...
While I'm still famous.
I
mean, how long does this fame last, Tom? I mean, it's not like all these people here that you've got on your bookshelf are properly famous people. Like Elvis, Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, Marlon Brando, Steve McQueen. These are these are icons. These were famous people when fame was...
But this is the entertainment section here, this panel, this bookshelf. There's other books by forgotten people and obscure, where fate is... Are you worried about your fame receding?
Frankie Boyle, blimey. You've got all of it, haven't you? Charlie Chaplin.
Big Chaplin fan.
Are you?
I've been to the house in Switzerland.
Yes, so have I.
Amazing.
I have as well.
One of the best days I ever spent in my life.
Really?
Yeah, I loved it.
And I loved the Anne Frank Museum in Amsterdam. I loved that.
I've been there. That's pretty heavy.
Yeah. I've been there quite a few times, 2 or 3 times.
I'm resisting a joke right now.
There's been so many jokes about that Anne Frank house.
No, but you going there.
But the thing is, it's Bob Marley. You've got Johnny Cash. Oh my God, Johnny Cash.
Love Johnny Cash.
I recently did a gig in Nashville, and I went to the Johnny Cash Museum there.
Well, if you go into my cupboard, I have Johnny Cash museum glasses.
I'm worried I'd never come out of the cupboard, Tom. I think you feel that you will just trap me in there.
It's time you come out of the cupboard.
Johnny Cash. I remember when I went into the museum and it said on the wall, everybody has the free will to do what they want with their life. You either kill yourself or save yourself. If you choose to save yourself, you have to find a way to do it. And I think, for a lot of people, it's comedy. They find a way. So many comedians, I heard them say, "Oh, it saved me."
I can't imagine what my life would have been like without it. I mean, all the difficulties and the ups and downs is this to be able to go on stage. And then my comedian friends. I love that I've known you for, all these years.
Aren't they the most interesting people?
Yeah, but I mean, when else would you and I have ever been friends?
We would never have met.
You'd have stayed in Birmingham, I'd have stayed in Orlando.
You're a white man from Orlando. You would never have met anyone like me.
Yeah.
And that's because of comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you meet really odd and obscure people.
But it's cool because I've followed your career as best as I could, and read your pieces in The Guardian when I've seen your name pop up. Not all of them, but and followed you on social media and stuff. It's cool.
It's a different. Yeah, I would never have met you if I hadn't have done comedy. But I could say that about a lot of people. I would, if I hadn't done comedy.
Well, maybe you could write a pice for The Guardian that there is one straight white male that
is still relevant in some way. That is clinging on to try and be relevant.
He reads our paper.
Oh my God.
He's brown Muslim woman sympathetic.
I think it's sad that all white men have been dismissed. Because some white men still have something to offer, I feel. Just a few of them.
A couple of them.
A couple of them have something good to offer. But I feel that they have been wiped out overnight.
Why has your first book not come out yet?
Oh, this is a long story. I mean, it will come out soon. I just haven't found the right time for it. It needs to be the right time to come out. That's the main thing. Are
you still doing tours where you'll write a whole new hour?
Yeah, I'm just about to go on tour with my new show, Coconut. And that is starting in March. In London, and I'll do that for about 6 months. I'm doing a week, 10 nights at Soho Theatre in June, and I've just recorded loads of stuff for Radio 4, which is good.
What did you do for Radio 4?
I did the Museum of Curiosity with J.K. Rowling. That went out on Christmas Day, and then I did Quote Unquote.
So you talked about the book?
No, that was a comedy panel show. I talk about it in my tour. Then I was on Quote Unquote with Sir Tim Rice, a couple of episodes of that. And then I also recorded Loose Ends with Clive Anderson and Petula Clark. That went out recently. And when I get back in a couple of weeks, I'm recording my teenage diary for Radio 4, where I read out bits of my teenage diary.
What was that like?
It was fucking miserable.
Spent the day praying.
I mean,
and
I
crying.
don't know if you know, heaven knows I'm miserable now. I mean, my God, if you think I'm miserable now, you should have seen it back then. It was horrible.
With hormones.
I wanted to murder my parents and bury them under the patio. It was really horrific. I used to write these things in my diary.
You're going to read that on Radio 4?
Yeah.
When they couldn't...
It's called self-sabotage.
They couldn't handle you being on... Have I got news for you?
I mean, it's just terrible. Everybody must have hated their parents. You must have hated your parents?
No, I didn't hate my parents.
No,
I loved them very much.
Oh my God, You're so unusual.
My dad's the reason I'm a comedian. My mom was a super sweet woman,
That's so
unusual. Always treated me like the golden child.
Oh my God.
I had total freedom to... They were just glad I wasn't in jail. The fact that I, did okay in comedy because I wasn't a great student.
Really? Really? You're lucky. A lot of comedians have negative stories about their parents.
Yeah, and that the family didn't encourage him. My dad drove me to my first open mic night. We drove home talking about what worked, what didn't work.
Tom, that's so unusual.
Yeah, I know.
I hope you're grateful.
I'm very grateful.
Because that's not normal. All these comedians have terrible stories about their parents and being divorced, not being supportive to them, not seeing their dad for many years, and I mean, having it being hard, being brought up by just one parent. I've heard it a lot.
And your family still?
You're very lucky.
I know I'm very lucky.
Do you know that?
I am, and I've got brilliant friends around the world. It's enriched my life and everyone. I mean, look at that experience when I lived in Amsterdam and I had that TV show. I mean, just unusual. Like that alone. That's
unusual because not every comedian in their career has their own TV show anywhere in the world. That's unusual. For it to be in a country like Holland where they are very good at English speaking, and they loved it, and they took to you as a foreigner. You're an American white man, and you had your own TV show in Holland, in a foreign country.
Well, and the big thing of the show was that I was a foreigner experiencing Dutch culture.
Yeah.
So everything about the culture was explained to me. I got to film all these little 5-minute movies.
Yeah.
On a Dutch farm, getting a tour of the gay nightlife of Amsterdam, all these crazy things. I got to cover the prime minister debates with a press badge. I was on the floor asking him questions.
I mean, what an opportunity.
But to learn. It was like the greatest education in the world.
And how long did you have that show for?
Did the Late Night Talk Show for 2 years, which was 3 seasons in the way the Dutch did the TV seasons. And then when that ended, the same network let me be a presenter on a travel show for a year. So I got to film a highlight on St. Petersburg, Russia, Peru. That was like the greatest trip of my life, going to Peru.
Really?
The Champagne region of France. The coastal beach area of France.
Wow.
I did the Dutch Caribbean.
And you got paid to do that.
Yeah.
I mean...
And you got to live in Amsterdam.
And you were young then, Tom.
Yeah, late 30s.
That's the best time, probably.
Yeah.
You really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it.
Most comedians don't get that opportunity. Do they?
No, I mean, I had a sitcom in America. I've done a lot of, I've had an amazing career. What can I say?
It's not over
But
yet.
I think the best thing is coming.
Do you?
I do.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
That's really exciting.
It's this blind faith and hope that has driven my whole life, and
has it?
I could be completely wrong.
Have you always had faith?
Yeah.
But you don't? Do you believe in God?
I do.
Oh, right. Yeah. So you have faith that,
but not like a man with a beard sitting on a cloud.
Right.
I think God is this energy force that is in everything and everyone.
But you believe there is something greater than yourself.
I do.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. But you have faith that something better is going to come.
Yeah.
That's really good. Because I think when people stop thinking that there is nothing left for them, that's when they find life very difficult to live.
Yeah. When
they can't see a way out of their situation, or they can't see things getting better, or they have no faith or hope that there's something better coming.
Your career in life seems to have progressed nicely.
I feel like you. I feel the best is yet to come, really. I feel like I've grafted and I've worked really hard at my craft for a long time.
You got the skills?
I got the skills.
You can write?
I can write.
You can express yourself?
I feel like the best is going to come. When my books get published, when my sitcom gets made. But I think, that time when we had like Robin Williams and Richard Pryor and Joan Rivers, who were famous for a very long time, I think it's very difficult for anybody, not just a comedian, to sustain that now for so long. It's because there's so much content all the time. Like you write a sitcom, it goes out, say it's on Netflix, and you are famous for that period. And then when that ends, there's a million other sitcoms on Netflix that people will focus on. And so yours is not so special anymore. You have to keep on churning stuff out in order to keep it going,
So you're here in Los Angeles working on this sitcom.
Yeah, I am.
So is it for Netflix
No,
or for British television?
No, Tom, I'm working in the porn industry. I mean,
I believe that.
oh
you
my
know,
God, it's
Mia Khalifa, man, she's worldwide.
fucking hell.
I saw her get interviewed on Hard Talk on the BBC.
Jesus
I love the
fucking
BBC
Christ.
also.
I love Hard Talk.
I love Hard Talk. That
Hard
dude,
Talk.
and it was great. And she asked him. She said, "Have you ever watched porn?" And he kind of stumbles. He goes, "I have." And I thought, wow, she nailed his ass. But
listen,
Mia Khalifa with the hijab.
The hijab.
She broke the internet, literally.
I mean, I've got to tell you, I am Muslim, seriously. I mean, I am in many ways. And I've never watched porn. But my Muslim friends, men and women, were saying to me, have you heard of this Muslim girl? She's doing porn. And I just thought, you know what? Maybe it's like a one-off, some girl in a back street somewhere. And it was like every day for about a month, everyone was like, this is girl, Muslim, she's Muslim, Mia Khalifa, she wears the hijab. She's beautiful, she's stunning. They want to kill her. She's doing porn. I was like, of course they want to fucking kill her. She shouldn't be doing this. She's a Muslim woman. And then people started sending me videos. I was like, oh my God.
She probably brought more people to the faith than you understand.
Really? I tell you what, she brought more women to porn. I had never watched porn in my life. And then somebody sent me a clip of this.
So you did watch it?
They sent me a clip of her, specifically her, in a library. She's in a library reading books. Well, we all know how this ends, okay? But I mean, when she's in this library, she's wearing the hijab, and I see her face, and I think, my God, this woman is beautiful. Mm-hmm. She is absolutely stunning. And then she starts taking her clothes off, and we know how this ends. But
well, I like the way she empowered herself, going on BBC and going on all these interviews.
I thought that was very brave.
Very brave. I mean, how many women survive porn?
It's
that's
kind of like, we've seen everything. You've got nothing to say that's going to get you out of this. I mean, we've seen everything. And in a way, once we've seen your asshole, I don't really give a shit what you have to say about the world. It's kind of like, well, it's kind of irrelevant, really. But I thought, my God, she really stands by what she's doing. I mean, she could be a model. She could just marry a rich man. She could be so many things because she's that beautiful. She could use her looks in many ways. She's chosen to do this. I mean, I do find that baffling. But the way she goes on, things like Hard Talk, and just kind of justifies what she's doing and explains what she's doing, and she's very comfortable doing what she's doing. In a way, I've never seen anything like that before. And you know what? I'm sure there's people that want to kill her. But at the same time, I bet you the people that are watching her are mainly Muslim men. They are. It's your own people. I know. They're watching this Muslim woman do this.
She's from the Washington, D.C. area, and she is a Redskin fan, which only is...
I believe she's married.
I think she is, yeah. She said that on Hard Talk.
Yeah, she's married to a white guy.
So what's the sitcom? This is something you created yourself, or you're a writer on it? Yeah,
no, I'm writing it, and it is me myself. And
this is your project specifically.
Yeah, and also it's based on my life. It's based on my life, and it's got some modern day issues in it things that I'd want to talk about. Like things that are taboo. I mean, I don't know if you've watched Ricky Gervais's Afterlife. I think it's amazing. It's about a man who loses his wife to cancer, and then he wants to commit suicide. But it's very funny, and it's kind of our time, And there's many things that I'd want to talk about. I address the Me Too movement and Muslim women, their position in society, living in a dual culture where that's difficult. The battle between religion and culture. The dichotomy between men and women. I mean, there's so many things that I would want to talk about in my sitcom. I wouldn't just write something just to be funny. I'd want to say something. I'd want to talk about things that matter to me. Otherwise, I think there's no point in me saying anything, really.
So would it be a studio sitcom or just like a camera shot.
Not a studio sitcom. I used to one of my favorite sitcoms is Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
It would be something like that. I just love that.
I love
Larry
that shit,
Larry David. I mean,
When
I'm sure he's playing himself.
I thought the Palestinian chicken episode was the funniest episode. And they're all like going to get this chicken.
And Wanda Sykes in Curb Your Enthusiasm, hilarious. I just think it's brilliant. You must know a Larry David.
I don't know Larry David, but I know Wanda Sykes. I've known Wanda forever.
No, but you must know a Larry David. In life, these people that are always putting their foot in it, and we know that
he's such an unlikable person.
But you kind of,
you didn't. I mean, like I remember that's what I liked about the Alan Partridge show. He was like the brilliance of it was that he was such an unlikable person, and then it took America a long time to evolve where a show could have a character. The lead star is an unlikable person.
But there's also something tragic about these people, is that they are unlikable, but nobody is 100% unlikable. There's something sad about these people and tragic. And I think that complexity in a character is really interesting.
So where are you in the show process now? Is it?
Well, it's really good actually, because we've written the pilot, we've written the series outline, and I think it's going to be good, Tom.
Well,
I'll make sure that there's a part for a white man.
I was going to say, if
white man. We don't want them taking over. We don't want them taking over like they normally do, fucking screwing over my one opportunity of being a Muslim woman.
If there comes a story where you need to kill a white guy,
you're there, Tom. I'm sure you can manage. I think we might have one part for a white man.
Okay,
but it's really quota.
I'll be the guy that brings the coffee into the office.
You are filling a quota there, ticking a box. Yeah.
I will be your diversity. That's good.
That's good, Tom.
So
what about you, Tom? What are you up to now?
Trying to finish this book. I'm just working on hopefully what will become my next hour special sometime in the next year or so.
Will that be online somewhere?
Yeah, we'll see. There's not a big enthusiasm for white guys, so we'll see when I can.
It's not your time.
It's okay.
# time's up, Tom. Time's up, Tom. It's so funny. You never saw it coming, did you? I'm
not going anywhere.
White men never saw it coming. They thought, this is good. We're safe. Everything's going well. It's our time till we die.
I don't think
they got fucked over.
I don't think I ever identified as a white guy. And
what did you identify as?
I'm a man of the world.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
This phrase.
But you really you said that like 5 times on this episode.
What do you identify
as? White guys are done. I'm like...
I need you to know that, Tom.
It wasn't fully aware to me until you came over.
I think it's true, but you must have been aware of it.
No, of course I'm aware of it. Everybody keeps saying that, it's not a good time to be a white guy. But what can I do?
How long will this time last? Do you think it's a moment or it's a long period? Or
you can't get rid of... I mean, I think that's where we're at politically. All these people that were felt... I don't think you should dismiss an entire religion or race of people. I think that's a dangerous thing.
But it's happening.
And I think that's why Trump will be reelected for attitudes like this. And fortunately, you will never unleft me. So I'm on the diverse feminist. I would never call myself a feminist, but I'm pro-woman.
Oh yeah.
I don't think a man. I don't want to see a man leading a feminist march. You know what I'm saying?
Neither do I.
I don't want to see men shut the fuck up, stand on the side.
But
this is time for women to stand up.
Right.
But I'm an open-minded, sympathetic person to.
But when you see men coming out and saying that they're feminists, what do you think of that?
I think it's stupid. I mean, I think, like I say, I'm pro-woman.
Yeah, pro-woman.
I think only a woman could truly be a feminist.
Yeah. And when people say, I've heard this older men saying, I'm old-fashioned.
That means racist and misogynistic, doesn't it?
See, we being Guardian reading lefties,
right?
We would interpret that
right.
as, oh, okay, so you're old-fashioned. Okay, so that means that's your license to be racist, sexist, homophobic, woman in the kitchen kind of attitude.
Yeah, I'm different. You know, I've always wanted to be in show business. I knew you couldn't be racist and be in show business. Like, that there's every kind of person in show business. That's what I love about comedy. It doesn't matter if you're a woman or rich or poor. Or
just be fucking funny.
Just be funny is what it all comes down to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, you and I are from the same tribe.
Yeah,
You know, that's the way I look at you.
But also...
So I don't look at myself as, you know... To me, white guys are my older brothers, and I am not my older brothers.
Yeah. But also, in comedy is so difficult, really. In order to be successful in comedy, it's really a small pool of people that can make a living and can be successful at doing that. And so, in a way, we struggle so much. We do stick together. We have to stick together. What comedians do.
It's your survival island.
It's a
theory.
survival.
It's true. It is like that in comedy.
Yeah.
And you got to make friends with other people to learn and make connections.
And to learn, and that you could be in a room full of people, and there could be a white guy, a gay guy, person with a disability, a gay person, a lesbian person. But you know, we're doing comedy. That's why we are there. That's why we know each other. And so that's never been a barrier for me, or I've never seen that as a negative thing. I just thought that's just the business, and what a privilege to be in the business with all these people that I probably would never have met if I'd have married a Muslim man at 20, had an arranged marriage, lived in Birmingham and had 5 kids, which is another life I could so easily have had.
That's how I feel. I feel blessed. Like when I do sets in LA, I always stick around. Like, oh my God, Whitney Cummings is coming on next, and like I like the way she writes. I'll like watch her sets, and like she writes in like kind of mini essay form. I was talking to her about it the other night, and I in the hallway, and it's like, you know, who else? Bill Burr is there working on sets, and I'm friends with Bill, and I can watch his set. And then we go out and we have a cigar afterwards, and like talking to him about the material he's developing, and you know, like I want to know what you're working on, and you know, that's why I was asking you about our shows, and you know, what's the theme of the next one?
You want to know what they're thinking or what they feel about the zeitgeist.
I'm impressed by the whole process, and I think creativity is the key to happiness, for me anyway. When I'm creating things, it makes me happy, and I love jokes, I love stories, and I just love the, you know, like your perspective and the way, you know, you look at the world is completely different than mine, but I can study you and your skill set. Like I can watch Whitney Cummings or Bill Burr or Mark Maron or whoever is at the, I feel privileged to be a part of it, and then get to watch, you know, other people, the way they approach the, you know, the craft.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it.
I'm always interested to hear what people have to say about whatever's happening in the world. What's their opinion or their thoughts on something? And there's so much going on now. There's so much to say about the world. I always wonder what they're thinking. I wonder what they're going to say about that. You know, I always find that interesting. You know.
What do you think about what's happening in the world now?
I mean, you know, this transgender issue has become a big issue now. I find that interesting because I don't know much about it. So I always find that interesting when people go on stage and talk about it, or they tweet about it. I like to read and understand what they think, because I don't know much about this issue. You know, I do know transgender people, but I don't know what they think or they feel or their life story or their struggle. We haven't had enough of those people in our sphere, really, to know much about them. And so I find that interesting. And when people say, I identify as this or I identify as that, I find that interesting, how people see themselves and want to label themselves and talk about themselves. I think that's quite interesting. I don't know everything, you know, Tom.
It's interesting. The pronouns, non-binary, binary, the whole conversation. That's very important to a lot of people. And
also, like a lot of people who are bipolar, or they use these words, bipolar anxiety. People are anxious, and these are things that I hear a lot now recently. Young people saying they're suffering from anxiety because of social media. You know, and I find that interesting how that is affecting them, young people, very much so. Mm-hmm. Like when we started comedy, there was no social media, so we know what it's like not to have this. But these young kids, this is what they've grown up in. This is all they know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the getting bullied at school is bad enough. You're being bullied by hundreds of people on the internet.
I was doing a show the other night. There was this young boy on the front row who's only 23, and he said that he had never been out with a girl with real breasts. And he was 23. And I thought, wow, my God, so you're growing up in this culture where you don't know what a real woman, you've never seen a real woman.
But also you grew up watching porn. They don't even know how to make love properly either.
But that's normal to them. That was normal to him, that he was 23 and he'd never been out with a woman with real breasts. That was normal to him. And that's all he knew. So that's what he expected. And I just thought, that was so sad. But then why would he know any different if that's all he's known? If that's his life experience. And I could criticize that, which I did, like I made a joke of it, but that's his life experience. I can't give him another experience to that. He has to live it. Mm-hmm. But the audience were like, oh, like it was really shocking to the audience. Like, oh, that's so sad.
What do you think of the California audience? Well, so tell me about your...
Well, I do really well here, Tom, as you know, because they think I'm Mexican. And, you know, they've never seen a brown person talking English before, so that's very confusing. They think I'm doing a character. In fact, sometimes they think I'm part of the royal family. And they don't know that we have British people in England who talk English and who are brown. They think I'm Hispanic, Puerto Rican, Mexican.
You don't think people know this? You don't think...
Tom, not everybody. I've had people...
Gina Yashire, Idris Alba...
Do you know something? I don't think they realise there are lots of us. I've had people come up to me and speak to me in Spanish.
You've belittled white men. You've belittled Americans, the Los Angeles audience. You're so left-wing guardian.
Listen. I've had people come up to me and speak to me in Spanish. This is not right.
Seriously.
This is not right. First time I came to LA, I was in this apartment. They thought I was the cleaner. It is odd, I think, if you've never left America or you watch The Crown and you think this is England. I mean, and then you meet...
But you're giving us kind of the chitty chitty bang bang perception that we think Dick Van Dyke is...
Some people do in America, though, they do.
Yeah.
When I was in Nashville, people were just taking pictures of me.
People read the news. They know what's happening. You got Netflix. You got the internet. Like...
Do you know that people watch...
We're following the Harry and Meghan...
see, that's a specific... That's a specific story.
Megxit.
How racist is that? That is so racist.
That's so fucked up.
One slightly black person they've had in the royal family, and look how they treat her.
That wedding was one of the best things happened globally in the last 10 years.
I think that was just the start of it. You know, there's this woman, not only is she mixed race, she's outspoken, she says she's a feminist, she's a strong woman, she refuses to toe the line. What do? Deport her. Deport her. I mean, it's... the thing in America is they're very upfront about their racism. You know, if they don't like someone, they'll say the N-word, they'll say, you know, Trump is outwardly racist. In Britain, it's dangerous because they are very subtle about their racism. And that's dangerous because you never know what they're thinking. Or they are racist and you can't accuse them of it because you can't put your finger on it. Why they're being racist. It's very dangerous, that kind of subtle racism.
So what do you think about England and removing itself from the European Union? I mean, is this... Is this
Well,
and
obviously,
the United States and
being a left-wing Guardian
and,
reader, guess what I did? Guess how I voted?
Yeah, but I mean, is it?
It's very divisive.
What Vladimir Putin said that liberalism was obsolete.
He's a white man. Who gives a shit what he says? It's a backlash. It's a struggle. It's a divisive, negative time, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Well, as long as we can be friends.
Oh God, we will. Yeah, we'll always be friends.
We'll always be friends. So, how should we wrap this up? You got any words of wisdom or advice for the people of the earth? How do you end our theater show in England?
I say this is the end. The end. And people shit themselves because nobody wants to hear that it's the end, do they? Do they?
No.
The end. I mean, did you watch Ricky Gervais at the Golden Globes?
I loved it.
I thought it was absolutely fucking hilarious. It was
Thank
so funny.
God. Shut up.
Shut up and fuck off, Aaron. But the funniest is how he ended that awards ceremony. He said, "This is the end." He said, "Get drunk, take your drugs, and just fuck off." I mean, it was just brilliant. It was absolutely, I mean, doing jokes about Judi Dench's minge, and I mean...
Scorsese right in front of him, and it was fantastic.
And what's his name? Leonardo DiCaprio, and I mean, it was fucking hilarious.
It was brilliant. So, you're going to be in LA a lot more often?
Yeah, I think so, Tom.
Okay.
I'll go wherever.
Wherever the cash is.
I go wherever they welcome Mexicans, basically.
Well, I'm glad I could finally have you on the show again, 10 years after. You were one of my first guests.
I can't believe you're still going.
Why
don't
Those
you
16
just,
supporters
Tom,
are really strong.
Why don't you just shut up and fuck off?
Take your drugs.
And fuck off.
Thank your God. Fuck off.
Why don't you?
Do you have any words of wisdom or advice that you'd like to give to the people of the earth?
All I can say is that if we are to survive as a human race, is that we have to find things that we have in common.
Okay.
Yeah, you asked for words of wisdom, Tom. And
well, we've known that it hasn't been working.
It hasn't worked.
No.
Well, then my other thing is, my words of wisdom is convert to Islam, all of you. All of you, convert to Islam. Allah Akbar. Those are my words of wisdom.
Fantastic.
I think you are a closet Muslim, Tom.
Assalamu alaikum, sister.
You are a closet Muslim.
And
you've been trying to get into our religion for years. We've resisted.
We will both have long, fruitful careers, inshallah.
I'll see you in the afterlife, Tom. See you in the afterlife.
Okay. I love you, Shazia.
And you.
Okay.
Okay.
Hooray for humanity.
Tom Rhodes, you're a funny man. Tom Rhodes, you're an international comedian. Tom Rhodes, karate kick, baby, oh yeah. Tom Rhodes, you're a groovy dude. You go all around the world, telling jokes to all of the people. You are an international comedian. You're funny to everybody in every single country in the world. Tom Rhodes, I like you very much. I think you're talented and very wonderful. Tom Rhodes, you're the best guy in the world. I wanna be your friend, you should call me sometime. Here is my phone number, 603-644-0048. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tom Rhodes, you're an international comedic sensation. Tom Rhodes, I like to listen to your podcast. Tom Rhodes, you're the best man to ever walk on the earth.